other day I chanced to meet a soldier friend of mine. He'd been in camp for several weeks and he was looking fine. His muscles had developed.
Firenze delle letterature, Citè riaperta e liberata, Torino Sega che ci sta sempre, Andrew Sean Greer in anteprima europea, non meno che Le vite impossibili di Greta Wells, Andrew Sean Greer. Abbiamo avuto 18 litri di vino a cena, quindi cerchiamo di impiegare 25 minuti in modo sensato. Let's try to put these 5 minutes into some decent use. So
Okay,
drink the
absolutely. I'll drink. Okay.
So I've read the book. I think it's wonderful, but it's not. If I say it, the people will not believe. So say why somebody should read this book. What's the best feature of this book?
I hope that you can't put it down when you pick it up. You have to turn every page because it's a little like a genre book, like a time travel book, but that it's full of beautiful writing, like in a literary book. So it's life-changing, and you can't put it down. And
So
it's fun. And
so we are together in the trenches, in the First World War-like trenches
yes,
of
which is
breaking.
in the book. The First World War also.
The Greta of 1918 was my favorite, definitely.
Oh, that's my favorite. No, I should not say that.
You shouldn't say that. They should be all your
They're all my
daughters.
Because there's three, yes, there's three Gretas in 1918, 1941, and 1985. So it's about sort of how a woman's life would be different depending on the time in which she lived in New York City.
Do you think, if I say this book, even if it's set in New York, so it has nothing to do with England or anything, it feels Victorian, what you would say? Victorian. I thought that this book could have been written by a Victorian author.
Well, I like that idea. Well, for one, I think Victorian authors didn't feel the separation of literary and genre. You know, Dickens didn't, and Oscar Wilde didn't. Nobody did. They all wrote. Mark Twain wrote anywhere they wanted. But also, I think the books I read are often 19th century books because I don't know. There's a pleasure.
There is a constant, you know, one thing that I'm thinking just now. In this book, there is a constant threatening from death. People are dying or risking to die. There is, it's a light-hearted book, but in the end, if you look at this perspective, it's quite grim. But it's like everybody could die.
It's true, yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, that was sort of the fun of it, is that you have a timeline, 3 timelines, and you wonder. For me, I wanted someone to die in every time period. And I had to pick who I had to be a different person, so I was killing people off. Just, you know, as a mad scientist.
Just a question with very detailed. Maybe I don't know if in such a short interview it's fit, but why you decided that the Gretas which go in the previous years don't try to become rich or something by using the fact that they already know what will happen?
I know. I thought about that. But
That's an issue.
She does talk about that a little bit, but I think it's because maybe she will later, but she's panicked about the people around her who she loves, and she's trying to fix them, and she's not really concerned yet about money. She seems to be wealthy on her own. She doesn't have a job. No one has a job in the book. So, but I think later on she might use her knowledge of the future. There's a stock market crash coming, for instance, that she could make use of. But it just seems it's so typical in a time travel novel to try to make money and kill Hitler, that those were my 2 rules, were no Hitler, and no stock market. She's not going to buy Apple computer or something, you know.
Last question, because I can feel the aura of Agnoni behind present for the next interview. You have something with time, you know, because once you get somebody which is aging backwards, another time you have somebody which anyway comes from the past. So you will consider the time issue closed with Greta Wells, or you will keep exploring this theme?
I thought, in my mind, I was like, I'm done. It's a trilogy. It's not a trilogy, but I'm like, I must be done. And so I have a new book that I'm writing. It's in the present. It's not historical, and yet already when I'm writing it, I realize I'm going back, doing historical research. So apparently I'm not done. But I'm trying my best to be contemporary this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Greer, or as they call you in Italy, Sean Greer.
Sean Greer.
It was a real pleasure for Riot Van.
Thank you, Vanni.
As he galloped, and his cheeks were rosy red, I asked him how he liked the life, and this is what he said. Oh, how I hate to get up in the morning.